Hey guys, it's MRCRAYFISH, and today we are going to be looking at what's new in Controllable. So if you're not familiar with these type of videos on my second channel, there are more of a raw approach when it comes to looking at new updates, and I do this for my vehicle mod as well, as I like to go over them without any cuts, just do a raw, uncut video going over everything. And today we are going to be looking at Controllable because I just released a brand new update for it, and it's also updated to 1.14 now, so you can finally use it in the latest version of the game. And I have actually been getting a lot of comments of people loving this new update so far. It's been released for about a couple of days now. People have already downloaded it, so thank you guys so much for leaving comments, leaving feedback. I appreciate it. But let's go ahead, let's take a look at what's new in Controllable. That's the point of this video today. So if you're not familiar, again, I like to go into a lot more detail in these videos as well. So the first thing that I do want to point out in this version of the mod is that I'm actually using a brand new library to handle the controller input. Previously in 1.12 I was actually just using the normal controller input that is supported in lightweight Java game library, and then I switched over to a library called Gamepad, and then now I've actually switched over to a new library called SDL2GDX, which was technically made for a Java game library called GDX, but you can actually use it as a standalone library. You don't have to install GDX, and that is what I'm doing in this project now. And the reason I made the switch is not only does it have hot plug support, but in GDX, in this SDL2 GDX, it allows me to manage controllers a lot better. I can actually have an instance of them in the code, and I can keep them persistent throughout the program, whereas in the Gamepad library that I was using before, it wasn't like that, and you couldn't really identify which controller was number one or player one or player two. It would just be like a guessing game, and that's not good. So that is why I've made the switch to this new library, and it basically works exactly the same. You won't notice any sort of difference. But anyway, let's get into the features of this update. So I'm going to go ahead, plug in my controller now. I'm using a PS4 controller. Let's go ahead, plug this in. And as always, you will see a notification pop up on the screen. PS4 controller is now connected, and straight away I should be able to start using the controller. I can do everything that I normally would. But this is not new. You guys are already familiar with this. What we do want to check out is the new settings in the mod. So we can actually press start on the controller now, and this will open up the pause menu. So if we go to options here, and then we go over, is my mouse rendering? Hold up. I don't think my mouse is rendering on the screen. Let me just go ahead and fix that. So over here to the right, we have the controllable options, and this will take you to the Selector Controller. So if you have multiple ones plugged in, you can select which controller you want to use. Usually you would probably only have one plugged in, so just select yours. But you'll notice down the bottom it's a little bit different. So we have settings, remap buttons, which is not enabled right now in this update. It will be coming in a future update. And then we just have back. Previously you had to select a controller and then click select, but now when you actually just select the controller in the list here, it will make that the selected controller. But what we're interested in here is the settings part. So this settings isn't specific to the controller that you're using. It's more of a global settings for all controllers. So if we click on here, we have a bunch of settings we can change around now. So auto select is the first option here, and basically what this does is when you plug in a controller, let's say there's no controllers plugged in, and you plug in the controller, if auto select is on, it will automatically make that plugged in controller selected, and you can start using it straight away, just like I did when I plugged it in a couple minutes ago there. If we turn it off, then it's just going to do the opposite effect, and you'll have to go into the controller selection screen and actually select it. I don't know what, maybe you have like multiple controllers plugged in when you first start the game and it selects the wrong controller. Maybe you would turn this off for that, but most of the time you want to keep it on, but it's just there in case you want to, you know, in case you want to make it auto select, or maybe you have like a mod pack or something like that and you put the properties off by default for it. That would be good if, you know, you release this in a mod pack and, you know, you want it there as an option for people, but you don't want, you know, the controller to auto select even if they're using keyboard, like they're purposely using keyboard and mouse. You don't want a controller to be attached, you know, automatically. Anyway, let's go on to the next option, and this is a big one, dead zone. If you're not familiar with what dead zone is, it's basically how much input do you need before it actually, you know, detects it. So this is useful on analog sticks because sometimes, especially like maybe like third-party controllers and even official ones, I should just say all controllers, to be honest, sometimes the thumbsticks don't align up to 0, and if you don't have dead zone, that can cause, you know, unintended input. So dead zone basically means, you know, I have to push the thumbstick at least 10% in any sort of direction before it actually detects that input. But now you can actually configure it, because sometimes really bad controllers or really bad third-party controllers, a dead zone of 0.1 is not enough to eliminate unintended input. So you could put this up to like something like 0.2. I actually found with my PS1 controller, which was really bad, that I had to put it up to 0.5 for it to actually work. So you could probably do this with your mouse instead. It makes it a little bit easier. So 0.5 was actually what I had to put it up to, which is crazy. So change this to whatever you want to, like, you know, if you're having that sort of unintended input, just bump this up. If you have a really good controller, you could bump it down a little bit, and that will make it so it's a little bit, you know, you don't have to push the analog stick as far to move. But a dead zone of 0.1 is usually, you know, the ideal for most controllers. But yeah, just change it around if you're having any problems with that. Next up, the next option that we have is the rotation speed. I actually should show this dead zone off. So if I put that dead zone to 0.5, let's go back into the game here. So yeah, I'm moving the analog stick around here. You can't see it, but I'm moving it around. But I am kind of moving it far enough to detect input, but I'm moving it around here ever so slightly, and it's not moving my character. But if I go, you know, full forward on the thumbstick, my character will move. So that's just an example of that. But let's go back into the options here. I'm going to use my mouse. So the next one is the rotation speed. So this is simply how fast do you turn on your, you know, yaw or pitch axis. So by default it is 20, but you can bump it up to 50, which is really fast. We'll go ahead and check this out right now. So when I actually turn, look how fast I'm going. Oh god, all right. Woo! So that's probably a little bit too fast for my personally, that's a little bit too fast, and probably too fast for you guys as well, but it's there as an option. But yeah, by default it is 20. Let's put it down to like really slow, put it to 5 right now. So as you can see, it's going to take a long time to turn around. So select whatever your personal preference is. Some people might like it slower, some people might like it faster. So do whatever you want there. So that is rotation speed. I like 20 because that's what, when I first developed it, I found 20 to be a really nice value. So that is the default one. And then we also have mouse speed, which is when we're actually moving the mouse in the GUI here, how fast does it actually need to go? I'm going to turn down my dead zone a little bit there because I find that to be too much dead zone. So the mouse speed, if we pop that up, you can see, I think it's working right now. My mouse speed's actually going faster. Then I turn that down to maybe like 5. As you can see, the mouse is going a lot slower now. So this could be helpful. Maybe you're like trying to access it, trying to access your inventory or manage your inventory. Having a slower speed might help you select a slot better. Even though there is, if you're not aware, in Controllable, when you do hover over a slot that has an item in it, it will actually kind of gravitate towards the center of the slot. So it does make selecting items a little bit easier. And there are going to be future updates that I'm going to make that is going to make this even easier, because I feel like the ability to use the D-pad to go through the items would be good. And like it would, like if my mouse was here, it would, if I press left on the D-pad, it would go straight to the slot to the left. So there is going to be improvements. This mod is still not like perfect, but it is at a state where it's actually a really solid mod now. And honestly, it's, people have been saying it's the best mod out. It's the best controller mod out there. So I'm gonna go by what they're saying and say that this is probably the most up to date and best controller mod there is out there. I mean, there's not many. I think there's only like two others, but I think they're outdated now, or they were buggy, or they're just not good in general. So I don't know. I didn't really I've never tested the other ones out. I've only made mine. That's basically it. But yeah, there is that help when you are going over slots here to help your inventory. But yeah, maybe slowing down the mouse speed will help you select the items a little bit better. But I think once you start playing with the mod, you do get comfortable with the inventory system, or the magnetization system that I have in the inventory here, and you can get used to it. Like I can just select all the items here and manage my inventory quite well with the controller. Now, just a quick tip for anybody that is using the mod. It might not be obvious, but if you do go into your creative screen here and you use the R1 and the L1 buttons, or the bumper buttons on your controller at the top, you can actually scroll through all the creative tabs. You might not know that because it doesn't say it in the help section down below. The tooltips down here to the left and right, it doesn't actually say that. So just a small tip for anybody who is new to this mod and is going to download it, because the download link is in the description below, just so you guys know. So go ahead, download this new update. It currently isn't out for 1.12 yet, but I most likely will be porting this update back to 1.12. But I think after this one, I probably will be focusing on 1.14 only. We'll see. It depends on the size of the updates. If it's a small update, I might port it back, because I know 1.12 for a while is going to be the main version people use for modded Minecraft until 1.14. Until a lot of mods port over to 1.14, 1.12 will still be kind of the main platform that everybody uses, or the main version of Minecraft that everybody uses for mods. But that is going to end off this update today. Not as visually as exciting as my other mods. But this is why I'm doing it on this channel, because this is a little bit more technical channel. I like to go into detail. I like these kind of uncut raw videos. I did make a couple of cuts, but let's just ignore that fact. So this update is now available. It's for 1.14. Go download it, and I'd love some feedback. I feel like a lot more people the people that use this mod are a lot more kind of like mature. I don't know, I've just seen that kind of through the comments, like the comments on the CurseForge page. I've seen a lot of like constructive criticism, not like, why isn't this update, and it's just it's a bit of a refresh. So thank you guys so much, and yeah, any feedback, let me know in the comment section below, and I will be happy to read it. But anyway, I'll catch you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.